Welcome everybody to the Wednesday, April 14th Strathcona Gardens Commission meeting, and confirm that we have a quorum. Call the meeting to order, and Mr. Yates could just scroll. Then I'll entertain a motion to adopt the public agenda.
Move adoption.
Second.
Okay, I don't know whether Edie got that. Everybody's eager to jump in at the same time. So any discussion? Anyone opposed? That is carried. No petitions or delegations. So adoption of the previous minutes of March 10th.
Move adoption.
Thank you. Commissioner Lee, seconded by Commissioner Evans. Any discussion? Anyone opposed? That is carried. I'm not aware of any public considerations at this point. Chair's report. I think we're all just trying to survive right now, so I have nothing to report. Moving to staff reports. Number 1, extension of Arena 2 and Leisure Ice Service. Report from the CAO for receipt. I could have a motion to receive. Thank you, Commissioner Lee.
Second.
And Commissioner Evans to our CAO.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Corrine will speak to this.
Good afternoon, everyone, through the CEO and through the chair to the commission members. I will have Ryan Christensen speak to this report. Thank you.
Welcome, Ryan.
Thank you very much, commissioners. Yes, so we all know what's been happening in the world of our pandemic, and things are very fluid and changing quite frequently. So with the decision to extend the ice surface to stay in until May 25th, the programmers and coordinators were discussing potential of that 6-week block in between when the ice would be out, and what would be the possibility of potentially keeping that ice surface in. That discussion grew further when we had further restrictions placed upon us, essentially limiting any adult group activity indoors. In conversations with the coordinators, we realized that some of these restrictions placed the least impact on ice programs, as well as aided in financial recovery during this period. And I would like to detail some of that information right now. With the current guidelines out, we are unable to run any large-scale events like the home shows, high school graduations, these sorts of things, as well as any adult-based group fitness programs. Our coordinators have confirmed with us that the dry floor space that we currently do have on the Rod Brindamore Arena will accommodate our user groups, lacrosse, junior lacrosse B, roller minks, as well as some of our current programs that the limited ones would be able to fill in on that. So in our planning, we realized that it's going to be better for the community from having more programs available for individuals as well. So an example of that would be, we have this wonderful lacrosse program that we run every summer. We get anywhere from approximately 50 youth that are involved in a tournament, and it's just something that we can't run. We're unable to. But by having these programs and maintaining that ice surface, we give ourselves 2 ice surfaces, the leisure ice surface as well as Arena 2, and are able to increase our capacity by about 96 youth spaces for programming, as well as approximately 100 private lessons that have shown us to be extremely popular, in which adults can take a part of on that ice surface. So in doing some number crunching and taking a look at an experiment that we did in 2018 on energy expenditures, as well as revenues, and knowing what we have right now, we, on the second page of this document, realized that it costs us about $18,500 just to take the ice surface out and put it back in. It will cost us an additional $22,000 or $23,000 in electricity, water, and staffing over that approximate same 6-week period. Yet, with the benefits of increased revenue of $15,600, it would be a net benefit financially as well as programming wise for space. So we feel that it might be indicative this year to maintain the ice surface for those additional 6 weeks before the summer comes in. In speaking with our operations manager, any work from a maintenance standpoint that would need to be completed can be completed with the ice in. That's not the case every year, but this year it would be able to be completed with the ice in. And that does include other projects coming up, like finishing our leisure ice projector screen and such. So we are sort of making the recommendation, or one of the alternatives, that the ice surface on Arena 2 and leisure ice surface remain May 25th and not be removed until spring of 2022. And that's if I'm happy to answer any questions.
Questions from commissioners?
Yes, is it possible for the commission to delegate a decision to staff to be ready to pivot if the public health orders change? And can the staff make that decision?
Well, thank you, Commissioner. We are always ready to pivot. That's something we do on a regular basis. And a perfect example of that was with the most recent orders came down. We had to cease all group indoor adult programming once we had launched group exercise programs in the pool for adults. And 48 hours that was rescinded on the aquatic side. So we went back and put some of those programs back in. So we are well versed in the ability to change directions 180 degrees at any point in time. We're well practiced on that.
So the activities that would go on the ice during the warm months between May and June, like would that be adult supervised or require adults present indoors to do?
Good question, but no, it would not. It would require staffing, yes, of course, and we would maintain 2 full-time staff during that time, approximately. But no, we can do things such as public skating, because it is an individual activity. Kids can get involved in hockey schools. They just have to stay, when they're doing their skill development, 8 feet apart from anyone. And we can do that on the ice. We've seen that because everyone has adapted to that. So we do have some adult programming that we are able to put on the ice. We're not able to play games, and we aren't able to do adult group activities, but public skating is not considered group. Private lessons aren't considered.
Okay.
Thank you. Commissioner Evans?
Yes, thank you, Chair, and thank you, Ryan and staff. I think this is a great innovative approach. I like it. I like the idea that it gives some capacity and flexibility. The only thing I was concerned about is, just as you mentioned, things may change, but I would assume that staff would just be monitoring this, and if anything needs to change, it sounds like from hearing from you, it wouldn't be that difficult to address that if that comes. But I like this recommendation, and thank you for bringing it forward as an option.
Thank you, Commissioner. For clarity, if we have any further restrictions placed upon us, it would be a challenge, quite frankly, at this point in time, to keep our doors open. Being on the ice is one of the few activities, and pool indoors, that are relatively safe, and we can stay active far apart. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Kerr?
Thank you, Chair, and I agree. I think it's a great idea, and I certainly would support it.
Thank you. Seeing no more speakers, the word pivot was used earlier, and I want to compliment Ms. Garak and Mr. Christensen, but all of the staff at the Strathcona Gardens for pivoting and being so flexible and adapting and putting a very creative and logical report for us for consideration. So Please extend my thanks to staff, and I'll call the question on receipt. Is anyone opposed? That is carried. On to item 2, Craft Hockeyville for receipt.
Move receipt. Move receipt.
Second.
Discussion. I'll entertain a subsequent if anybody wishes to, but Commissioner Evans.
Thank you. Thank you, Worship. And I just had a couple of quick questions. The costs that are involved in marketing this and just what the role of the SRD would be, is there any concern that this would be costly in any way or any capacity issues? I can't remember the last time, but maybe just to have staff update us.
No problem. Thank you. Through the CEO and through the chair to the commission members. The basis of this is that the story is what sells itself. So the story, such as the one that was picked and selected on Saturday in New Brunswick, was a First Nations community in New Brunswick that had their arena burnt down, and the story resonated in the community, and it really was built from the grassroots up. So when you have a story like that and somebody takes it on and builds on that story, it tends to get more involvement. So really, it depends on what that initiative is and who it comes from and how it resonates in the community as how much you would support to put it forward, because oftentimes it's the story in itself that allows the campaign or the initiative to gain the rallying points, to make it to the finalists, to get selected. So really, it could vary, but really it's about fundamentally having a grassroots story that resonates in the community.
Thank you for sharing that. And I think you're right. The compelling story really is the foundation for the success with this. And you gave some great examples in the report. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Grunerud, you're on the line.
I'm here, yes, listening in. So thank you.
And we can hear you. Do you have anything to add on this?
I don't know. I think it's a very positive initiative to move forward with.
Okay, thank you. On receipt, is anyone opposed? That is carried. Do we want a
I'll make the
subsequent?
subsequent, Chair.
Thank you, Commissioner Kerr.
I move that the regional district make a submission to the 2022 Craft Hockey Bill competition for the Strathcona Gardens.
Second.
Discussion?
It's Director Lee. May I speak?
Commissioner Lee, yes, you can.
Thank you. My recall of the last competition that there was, some people, including myself, who were asked to phone a number to vote for Strathcona Gardens. And, I think you were allowed to make multiple phone calls. Like, people were on the phone, 20 hours a day making calls. So I don't know if it's just an application that we make and we tell them. I could be wrong, but I seem to recall that there was just unlimited phone calls that we could make to vote for our recreation center.
Well, I think what we'll do, Commissioner Lee, is if this passes, staff will research what the criteria is, because with COVID, everything has changed. So I would imagine most of it would be online, but there's no question that this is a popularity contest and first past the post. And it's just a matter of, to be successful, you garner the most ground support to be able to do that. So we have the motion to make a submission. Staff will research what's involved and report back to the commission. So anything further? Anyone opposed? Go buy some craft dinner. That's great. Thank you. Item 3, Recreation Services Feasibility Study for receipt, please.
Move receipt.
Thank you. We have a seconder.
Second.
Commissioner Kerr, thank you. And over to staff.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I think Renee will speak to this for us.
Good afternoon, Chair Adams and Commissioners. There was a request from the City of Campbell River to explore synergies in terms of recreation services in 2020. And as well, staff have had informal conversation with some of the member municipalities regarding the challenges they have delivering services. In response to this, a feasibility study is suggested as a method to objectively review any opportunities that may exist between the member municipalities to share recreation resources and explore what services there may be opportunities to collaborate on.
And if I could briefly speak to this, thank you for the update. This is so just to ensure that we're not duplicating services and getting the best programs available provided by the two services and getting some communication going back and forth. So, which I think always helps.
Yeah, if I can, Mr. Chair, too. So we've had conversations with Gold River and Sayward, some with Tassus. We know there's, use of the facility by Area C. We know that obviously the city runs services, we do, and we're just looking to see if there's some kind of economy of scale. We know there's no appetite for anything if it costs the city or Area D more as the participants in that. But I think when we look at all the players, there is some level of an economy of scale, whatever that may be, that we could explore that's advantageous to all of us. So again, it's just looking at what may be out there, and it's been a number of years since that's been looked at. I think it's good timing probably for the city where they're at, and so just engage a study and see what's out there.
Thank you. Commissioner Evans.
Thank you, Worship, and thank you for the report. I think this is a great opportunity. It's something that was discussed and approved, as the report indicates, back in 2020. I really like that the SRD would be taking the lead on this for all the reasons that Mr. Leach has just explained, that it's bigger than just the municipality. It makes sense to me. I think it's not only going to be about seeing economies of scale, but I'm hoping that it would also talk about opportunities that would be coming forward. And to me, with what the city is planning on doing in the year ahead, we have a lot of change happening in rec and culture as well. I'm hoping it will sort of alleviate or encourage some ownership, I guess, for lack of a better word, where it makes sense that particular areas, particular region, particular communities would have various ownership of or take the lead on certain activities. And then it doesn't mean that that has to be exclusive, but I think those are the kinds of conversations. Sounds like you've already been having some meaningful conversation with the city and other communities, but I think that's what needs to be addressed. They're seeing, I think that this will also do that. So I'm excited to think that this feasibility study may move forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Lee, and then Kerr.
Thank you. This pops up every so often, and I heard Commissioner Adams refer to the two services. Area D is not interested in being taken into city services such as the outdoor pool and the community hall and the sportsplex. We are already paying a lot of money every year for Strathcona Gardens for a medium-sized rural area, half the size of say Black Creek or in population, or areas A and B in the Comox Valley. We're paying more than our fair share of costs to Strathcona Gardens especially for this new upgrade. So if you exclude Area D from the recommendation, I would be good with it. If Sayward and Gold River, you might find synergies in ordering toilet paper or something for them, go for it, But as Miss Labucane's title is Strategic Initiatives, I wonder what kind of strategies going on at City Hall that this is coming up again, and that I'm, having to feel defensive about Area D having to pay more. We pay, I think it's over $700,000 this year to Strathcona Gardens. Fairly hefty tax bill for us. And we have lots of lakes and rivers and beautiful beaches that we recreate on out here. We don't need city services like that we don't need them. We've got enough, more than enough with Strathcona Gardens. So long as Area D is left out of it, fine.
So Commissioner Lee, certainly appreciate your comments and do appreciate the contribution and support that you have continued to provide for Strathcona Gardens. I think what this report is looking for is how we can save money. Because if there are duplicate programs being run by the two services, that doesn't serve anybody well, and we can probably expand the types of services that are available to all residents at the same, if not lesser cost. There's absolutely no underlying agenda here to try to get other areas, whether it's Gold River or Sayward or Area D, to contribute more. It's to try to find efficiencies. Mr. Leach, you were going to weigh in?
Yeah, that's exactly it. So, I mean, I already know there's no appetite for increased costs. There's no sense doing a study that I come back and say, I got a great plan that's going to cost the city and Area D more. So we know right off the bat we're trying to find efficiencies, and we're trying to look for ways to reduce costs. There is no intent to increase costs for anybody, but there's certainly at some level an economy of scale in a number of levels here for all the facilities, and in that way it's a win-win for everybody. So that's the intent of trying to find some economies for everybody, not increased costs.
Commissioner Kirk.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you for that, Dave. I totally agree with comments been made that Area D do pay their way and pay an awful lot for their population, and we certainly appreciate that. I think that I can't imagine that there aren't opportunities for coordination, cooperation, and synergies between Campbell River programs and the Strathcona Gardens. So I thought, I mean, we were talking about this many years ago when I was on the board. I thought that we were already doing this to a certain extent, but maybe having a second look at it is important.
Thank you. You're seeing no further discussion on receipt. Oh, Commissioner Lee, did you have your hand still up?
Well, we have been in response to Commissioner Kerr's remarks. We had been informally sharing staff. I remember when, maybe it was before our current CAO, but I remember when we were putting Strathcona Gardens lifeguards into the outdoor pool for a fee, in the summertime. So I remember that was happening. I don't think it was endorsed by the commission, but when the staff at Strathcona were laid off in the summertime, they applied and went to work for the outdoor pool, quite a few of them. So, I mean, I don't know if it was a formal synergy or if it just happened that way, but that did happen.
Well, if staff are laid off due to the closure of Strathcona Gardens pool and get temporary employment elsewhere. That's not anything coordinated between the two services.
Yeah, but I think it sort of was, you know, in terms of timing of our closure and the opening of the outdoor pool. I think it was sort of coordinated with staff, but.
Well, it's a great way to keep the staff fully employed and in our region and available. So I think those are the types of synergies and collaboration that make sense. So where there's a win-win. So on receipt, is anyone opposed? That is carried. On item B, that that we explore a feasibility study.
Move B.
Second.
Thank you. Just to Mr. Leach, being very appreciative and conscious of Commissioner Lee, would the costing for this study be co-financed?
Yeah, we would take it out of professional fees within the Strathcona Gardens budget.
What I'm referring to is will the city of Campbell River be contributing a proportionate by population share of the study?
As per the Strathcona Gardens budget, yes.
Okay. Anything further? Okay, Commissioner Lee?
Well, I would like to see this this idea explored next year, not this year, because of COVID and the shutdowns and forced shutdowns everywhere. I don't think we're going to get a clear picture from a feasibility study of what really happens in the communities unless we're operating normally. For example, we did a study once of the usage from Sayward and Quadra Island to Strathcona Gardens, and we discovered that you know, that Quadra was sending busloads of school kids over to do swimming lessons at Strathcona Gardens, but their total usage was something like 2.5% of Strath Gardens, and I think Sayward was 1%. And we determined at the time that the cost of administering an extra charge for them to use our facility was, the cost of administering was more than the revenue we would gain from it. So we didn't pursue that, but things have changed since then. Quadra's population is up. Sayward might be interested because they may not be able to afford to run Kelsey Center much longer or have it open. But I think we need to wait till things are normal before we can measure the state and condition of our sports facilities everywhere and the participation.
Okay.
Because right now we don't have full participation anywhere.
Appreciate those comments. I would think that this exercise is mostly a paper exercise on existing programs and timelines and schedules, and maybe even a better opportunity than at a time when we are ramping up and getting back to full 100% service. But Mr. Yates or Mr. Leach, do you want to, or Ms. Garak, weigh in?
Well, I personally think it's really good timing for it. So that's why staff have brought it forward, and I think it's a good opportunity. I think there's probably the availability of consulting services that we've seen through our RFP for Recreate. We had a lot of people interested. We got really competitive pricing, and so there's some availability of consultants in that nature. So I think timing is good.
Okay, anything further from the commission?
So this is just some cost savings. It's not going to involve Arity joining any new service.
No.
Correct.
Because side of bylaw 12, that's our participation.
And Commissioner Lee, just to confirm, no services can change or would change for Strathcona Gardens or Strathcona Regional District staff without the commission's consent and review, and then going to the board for consent and review.
And it has to be within the establishment bylaw.
Correct. So with that, is anyone opposed?
Just me.
Okay.
I don't trust it. I don't trust it.
I respect your cautiousness. The motion is carried with one opposed. Moving to section 4, Strathcona Gardens 2020 Key Performance Indicator Report for receipt.
Move receipt.
Second.
Thank you, and over to staff.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I think Corinne probably has a bit of a PowerPoint here.
Yes, good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for allowing us to share this presentation with you today. Before I begin the presentation, this is actually our first time that we have been able to bring a key performance indicator report forward, and we felt it was prudent enough to just summarize 2020 and capture it. Usually we do quarterly key performance indicator reports, but we just felt that we, at a higher level, we wanted to showcase some of the things that happened at Strathcona Gardens in 2020, and not all gloom and doom of COVID-19, but just the way Ryan previously mentioned about pivoting our business and shifting parallels and the projects that were done. We felt it would be appropriate to bring something forward to highlight to the commission members who may not have been in the facility in over a year some of the changes that happened in 2020 and some of the outcomes through this presentation today. Of the 3 speakers that you will hear from myself, Ryan, I will also introduce Robin Kentrop, who is on the line, who has been with us for 6 months as our operations manager and has brought an in-depth wealth of background in the construction business as manager of a construction projects at multiple sites, gas and oil, and new to recreation, but has provided such synergy with our staff and the projects that are moving forward. And I'm pleased to welcome him to the team, and on the phone on the presentation today, you will hear from him and get to know him a little bit better. Thank you. With that in mind, I will share my screen and start the presentation. Hopefully everybody is able to see. Can everybody see the full the screen in front of you?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
To begin the presentation, I just want to talk about some of the highlights of 2020. Starting in February, we had what was going to be anticipated to be a really great community engagement for the region, and that was to bring the promotion of Rogers Hometown Hockey into Campbell River. And there was a ceremonial puck drop on February 26th at the Storm hockey game. And that was momentum into bringing Rogers Hometown Hockey into the community at the end of March. One of the last events that we actually hosted before the pandemic closed us on March the 16th was the Campbell River Skate Club Gala featuring Patrick Chan, and that's the last time that the Rod Brendamore Arena had packed stands for a house here at the facility. And then officially on March the 11th by the World Health Organization, the global pandemic was officially declared. Out of an abundance of caution, the recreation centers throughout the province closed their doors on March the 16th. And then on May 6th, Premier Horgan announced the BC Restart plan, which allowed us to move to stage 4 of that plan on Friday, June the 24th, allowing for the safe operating of this sector and many other sectors within the province. We opened up the ride and we opened up the dry floor at the end of June. Then the arena opened up on July the 20th, the pool in September, and masks became mandatory in the facility November 23rd. Group fitness was suspended November 24th, and Arena 2 opened at the end in December. And that's a brief summary of the highlights of 2020. Here you have Chair Adams dropping the puck in promotion of hometown hockey, which was unfortunately canceled due to COVID-19. There's the team showcasing the hometown hockey jerseys that hopefully one day we will wear again. Patrick Chan, who came and was celebrated with many of the community residents here to attend the Campbell River Skate Club Gala. And then the whole mantra of COVID-19, stay at home, came into effect. And this picture, I think, really captures some of we had laid off our staff. Those red hockey sticks that lined the fence in April when everything was happening in Nova Scotia were repurposed to celebrate and support the RCMP across the country. And this was our small staff team. As you can know, masks were not mandatory at this time, but the physical distancing appeared, and we were there to support our neighbors next door, the RCMP, and across the country, what was happening in Nova Scotia in November. And I'll let Ryan take over from here.
Yes, hello again, Commission. So June 17th, we were in preparations, this picture and the next picture at the front reception, in being prepared to open our doors on June 24th. So you can move ahead there, Corinne. This is, again, of course, before masks were mandatory, but distance and physical barriers were definitely part of the equation. So the next picture, this one right here, was yours truly and our coordinator of arenas, Craig Robertson, practicing our pickleball skills. Became extremely popular. That was something new. As well as in the background, you'll see our fitness pods. So we made sure we had enough space. People were able to register, become proactive, and be active in maintaining their physical fitness when not being able to go into our other fitness areas. So we moved this down. There again, close up, I was not using those 40-pound dumbbells. That was just there for a picture. But we also used this space for our chronic disease management groups and our older adults and vulnerable populations. And that was, you know, one of the very positives in all of this is our relationships with our user groups became very strong. With Island Health, we renewed our contract again for approximately the 10th year, and expanded that contract to include virtual programming and have led the way there. So we're doing patient care with our kinesiologists online as well, falling within the guidelines of environmental health. So we can move on from there, Corinne, to the next one. And here is Joel, who is a Storm alum and a member of our staff, first time on the ice, July 17th, just prior to July 20th in the next image, where the Campbell River Skating Club has returned to the ice. Of interest, it's been a challenging year, of course, we know financially, but in trying to compare apples to apples, our first 2 months this year and compared to 2020 before we were shut down, we were operating at about, on the ice rental, at about 70% capacity from the previous year, and that's what we budgeted to, so we're happy to see that. And that reflects fairly similar numbers that we're going to come up to next with respect to the pool. We are at about 31% from a public swimming standpoint. Sorry, Corinne, I'll get to the pool in a second. I got my slides in the opposite order here. This, of course, is the leisure ice curtain, and that's been automated and complete. And we just need to finish off the projector and the screen, and we've been in contact with them, and hopefully we'll have that completed in the next couple months. And this is a great picture when it comes up to talk about the pool. The user groups in the facility, we've had one user group that has not been able to return. So we've been able to accommodate those wishing to be accommodated. And this is an excellent example of things that we have gone through. So this was very, very recently, just over the spring break. The individuals that you see in the pool there are high school students taking the Bronze Cross, Bronze Medallion course. So they will become future leaders and future lifeguards for Strathcona Gardens, as well as having a camp over the break. You'll see them in their PPEs while in the water, both masks and shields, and not being able to come in contact with anybody. They have dummies there. Not having access to the change rooms. You can see along the wall where those chairs are lined up there, which ones are accessible, which ones are not. And this is indicative of the entire facility, throughout the facility of movement, and what staff has had to do and change on a regular basis. So we are very, very proud of the work that the entire team has done, and their flexibility and willing to change and think on a dime. You know, sometimes the financial numbers don't reflect that. However, the participation really reflects that. We've received a lot of positive information and feedback from the community. So from a programming standpoint, I'm happy to answer any questions at the end of the presentation, but that's all I have for today.
Thank you, Ryan. The next few slides just give some overview summary of some of the slides that I've presented in the past on key performance indicators. The LIFE program, Set City program that we spoke throughout 2020 on, you can see the numbers in decline of that LIFE program that was put on hold while we were in lockdown, and then just reinstated with a 50% off programs. It sure affected the numbers in 2020 in terms of what participation happened with our LIFE program, and hopefully rebounding in 2021 somewhat, but not to the full extent. Obviously, the numbers are drastically down in 2020 as shown there. I do bring forward the attendance sick time at Strathcona Gardens. It's one of the reoccurring slides that the Commission has seen for a number of years. And I thought it actually is pretty important because everybody has heard the messages over COVID. If you're sick, stay home. Don't come to work if you're sick. Well, even though we were on reduced hours, you can see that the sick time for staff is indicative of any other year. But that's because of the safety parameters that are in place. If someone's sick, they stay home. And those numbers reflect it. Like I said, not down too much from any typical year, but knowing that the importance of protecting our community and staying home when you're sick, you'll see those numbers almost mimic any other year. At a high level, the COVID-19 safety plan and protocol.
Nope, we lost you. We lost the audio.
Can you speak, Ryan?
Now we can hear you, Corinne.
Can you hear me? Sorry.
Now that your headphones are off. Yep.
My headphones must have. I'm sorry. I've been on the phone quite a bit, or the Zoom quite a bit today. So with respect to sick time, that was the slide. Continuing into an overview of the budget, you know there was a carry surplus basically on staffing levels. You will see the numbers reflected in our programs and what we were able to accomplish in terms of the recovery of revenue not being there in 2020. However, like Ryan said, there was a lot of things that we wanted to showcase today that were successes, even though the numbers on paper don't show that. Along with that, we did our due diligence in taking the precautions in balancing that with the expenditures in 2020, knowing that staffing was down and trying to keep our expenses in check to get us to the point where we would be carrying a surplus over in 2021 and hopefully being able to lean it out for 2021. And with that, we had major capital projects that were also part of 2020. some that were delayed slightly, but happy to note that some projects moved along regardless of COVID-19. We were able to pretty much finish the EEU project, which Wolfgang will be speaking to at the next meeting. What a true accomplishment to get that completed and up and going. The leisure curtain that Ryan showed you, and many of the other projects that are coming forward in the next slides that Robin will talk about. I think it's really important that you are able to see these projects, some of the projects that you wouldn't have seen if you haven't been through this facility in the last little while. So thank you, and I'll take it over to Robin.
Thank you, Corrine, and good afternoon, commissioners. This photo sort of is a picture of one of the new rooftop HVAC units. It's one of 3 units. A key piece to these new units is we've eliminated the natural gas heat source and all the energy that's recovered from the CO2 plant goes through a heat loop, and it is captured in these units. So it's not just energy efficient, but it is to reduce our greenhouse gases. This is also a new unit. It's a dehumidifier for Arena 2, and being consistent with the HVAC units, the natural gas heat source used to dry the desiccant wheel to get rid of the dehumidification in the arenas is from the heat loop. So again, reducing our carbon footprint. And then these are our new heat exchangers that are installed in the pool basement. And the heat is recovered from the CO2 plant, and it does work its way across the building into the basement, and it's used to assist heating the main pool and leisure pool, again, reducing the greenhouse gases for the boiler, the new boilers that were installed. And these are the 3 new high efficiency boilers that replaced 2 aging boilers. Carbon footprint, sort of a theme throughout that energy efficient program, you know, a big theme to reduce our carbon footprint. This is a piece of equipment that was purchased in 2020. It's a scissor lift. It's used to access maintenance areas. Here is a picture of one of the maintenance workers hanging a banner in Arena 1. And this is the new pickup that we purchased at the end of 2022 or 2020, I mean, December.
And thank you. That just showcases some of the projects, the highlights. If you have any questions, the commission to staff, we'd be more than happy to answer any questions you might have on 2020 or things that you've just been thinking about or just wanted to probe. So thank you for your time today.
Thank you. Questions from the commission? Commissioner Lee.
So will the Strathcona Gardens Commission be receiving the money back on the lowering of the greenhouse gases? Will we get a credit? Will we get credit from that program, greenhouse gas reduction program, for the amount of work we've done installing all these energy efficiency projects?
So as a regional district, we do run that report, and money does come back to the regional district in terms of allocation back to Strathcona Gardens for any of the reduction measures that are noted through our reporting periods.
So how much did we get up until the end of last year?
Well, last year, these numbers, when we go and change out to CO2, because we were still balancing, a number of these we can't quantifiably report on quite yet until we have some full life cycle year-end reporting, consistent reporting. So yet we can't measure that, so it'd be hard to add, but Mike can also add to this conversation. And he's on the line, so I'll let Mike speak to that.
Oh, hi there. Yeah, as we progress with that greenhouse and become more efficient, we'll actually get less money back for the rebate. So we get a kind of a credit based on the natural gas usage and everything, but the rebate we get, it rebates the tax we pay. So as we buy less energy, we're going to pay less tax and we're going to get less money back. We get about 20,000, I believe the gardens was allocated thereabouts, but because when COVID was rolled out last year, they had actually delayed the program and just gave us our 2008 numbers. So we'll be doing the numbers here for last year shortly, and I expect quite a bit of a reduction just because when we shut the pool down in the summer, that's less natural gas we were buying to heat the water and everything else. So less tax we paid, less tax we'll get back.
Okay, I had one other quick one, and that was looking at all the metal appurtenances up on the roof for the HVAC system and all that. I remember what the roof looked like when we had the old unit. Was quite a small little unit in the middle of the building, and now we have a lot of metal and things up there. I'm sure the engineers checked, but what is our floor load capacity with all those new installations? Are we approved by WorkSafe BC for floor load capacity now?
Robin, did you want to speak to?
Yeah, I can speak to that. I mean, Wolfgang would have a few more details, but it was all engineered and designed. The existing roof structure in certain places was upgraded, and there were some cross members and beams added. So and it was all closed out with a permit through the city, so it was all inspected and completed. So yes, it can support the load of the new units.
Okay, thank you.
Just going back to the comment of the rebates that we're getting, while those will be diminishing as we move forward, what will also be is the savings that we will achieve just through the energy efficiencies in our operating budget. Is that not correct?
Oh, yeah, sorry. Yeah, you're absolutely correct. Because we only receive a portion of the taxes back, our energy savings will be significant, and then the rebate a little bit less. But so financially, yes, we will be better off when it nets out going forward.
Great, thank you. Anything else from commission members? I just want to say that while COVID has been extremely challenging, I would only assume that it has benefited the ability to complete some of these structural and system projects instead of having to work around all of the programs that we have. And just really appreciative of the job that staff, when working with the contractors, have done to see these improvements done under very trying circumstances. So well done.
Chair, I just had a comment. I was a little slow getting my hand up, but I just had a quick question. I did have a comment as well, if I may. I really like this format with the pictures. I think it's a great way to just fully depict the levels of activity. So I really like this. I think you've done a good job with the presentation, Ms. Gurak. Just a quick question about the projector. I know I heard that it's coming in the next couple of months, but what is the plan with the projector? Are there any public activities that are proposed to take place with that, or just a reminder what was going to be happening with that?
Absolutely, I can respond to that. So the projector is part of a larger portion of making the facility more multi-purpose usage. So that black divider will completely separate the leisure ice surface from the main ice surface. So when we were doing the safety conferences, and we've already used the projector on a small wall on the side for kids skating parties. If we wanted to run parties, we want to run conferences, educational seminars, or we can have a speaker with lots of space and then a revitalized facility. It really accommodates a large group of individuals, something that the region could use for conferences, et cetera. One of the challenges in speaking today is going to be, like everything else, sourcing these projectors in today's market, simply because that's what individuals have been doing. They've been updating their homes with these high efficient projectors, and they're having trouble sourcing them. So I was told today that it might take a little bit longer than typical to have these come in. And again, the budget might be affected by that a little bit as well, but we have contingency plans there for that.
Okay, thank you very much for that update.
Thank you.
Thank you. So hearing nothing further, I'll call the question. Is anyone opposed to receipt of the report? That is carried. We have no bylaws, no correspondence, no new business.
Could I just ask, Mr. Chair, whether we could get a really brief sort of summary update of where the status of our $4-point-some million design for the new project, and when that's going to be done, and when do we expect the project will start? There's such a lot of time between our meetings, and my memory isn't stretching that far, so I just need a reminder.
So it was, I think our design was about 1.9 million, if memory serves me correct, and we have awarded to HCMA, and Wolf is working with them as we speak on that design.
And when would we start? When would we commence work? And when would the project be done?
So Commissioner Lee, well, we have gone ahead with the design work. We have not heard yet about the grant application.
Okay.
So, but I can assure you that as I am in conversation with not only MLA Babchuk, but MLA Osborne on a weekly basis, being a little bit of a nag to them as to advocating on behalf of Recreate. And as soon as we get an announcement, whether it's myself or Mr. Leach, we will not wait for the next commission meeting. We will advise members of the commission as soon as we know.
Okay, that's great. Thanks.
You're welcome. So motion to terminate, please.
I'll make that motion, Mr. Chair.
Thank you.
Dave, if you want to stay on the call, I want to talk to you before you take off.
Sure. Yep.
Okay, do we have a second? Thank you, Commissioner Evans. Anyone opposed? That is carried. Thank you.
Thanks,
everyone.
Have a great
Bye.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye, everyone.
Have a good evening.
Thank you.